meeting of the Marshfield Conservation Commission of Wednesday, December 6th, 2023. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Before we begin, I want to compliment Jessie Platt, one of our newer commissioners, on finishing her MAC certification in what I think has to be record time. Congratulations, Jessie. Nice work.
Thank you.
Okay, we have no minutes. I will go right to de minimis activity. The first item we have is 175 Riverside Circle for removal of dead trees, and Commissioner Karen is recusing. Is there anyone here to address this?
I can speak on this one.
Okay.
I was on the site with the conservation agent, Lizanoya, and we took a look at these dead trees. Sorry, this froze. Okay. As you can see, these three trees clustered together here are dead. The branches are dying, and she would like to cut them, remove them. However, she'd like to keep the root base in the ground, but grind the stumps down so that they're not an eyesore in the middle of her yard, essentially.
And the trees are in fact dead?
Yes.
Any commissioner comment? Nope. I think that sounds fine. And yeah, leave the roots as best they can,
Perfect.
because that's pretty close to the marsh there. So I move to find this a de minimis activity, the removal of dead trees at 175 Riverside Circle. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, next up is 292 Plymouth Avenue, replacing the front entry steps. And can you go over this one, Mike?
I can speak on this one too. The homeowner here would like to replace the front egress. Currently, it's concrete and block staircase there. He'd like to replace it with the same footprint, however, create it out of granite and cement to allow for subsurface water passage. The contractor is willing to put down a layer of gravel underneath the landing and attach the actual concrete structure to the foundation as it stands with rebar.
That will be interesting if it works.
Yes, that was recommended by the local building inspector, Dave Carlo.
Okay. Any comments? That's pretty much a straight one-for-one replacement. If they can attach it without having it being dependent on the ground, that would be interesting and a good thing. So
Subject to building department, which he's the one that recommended it.
he recommended it, so, yeah. I move that this is a de minimis activity. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Our first public hearing is a new one. I will read the legal ad. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, December 6th, to hear the request for determination of applicability regarding 34 Elmhurst Avenue. And is someone here? Come on up.
Thank you, members of the commission. My name is Steve Corbett.
I'll just give you a little background on 34 Elmhurst Avenue. There were 3 houses on one lot. They're owned by myself and 3 siblings, so it's a family trust, and we just use the property within the family, we don't rent it. We'd like to raise the smallest house, which is at number 34, and build a new house. The existing house has a footprint of approximately 500 square feet. It's very small. The new house will have a footprint of 624 square feet, slightly larger. We won't be creating any other additional impervious surface on the property. The new house will be located further away from the delineated wetlands than the old house and is beyond the 75-foot buffer zone. Another house, number 38 Elmhurst, sits between this house and the delineated wetlands. We'll be maintaining erosion controls for the duration of the project. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have or go into further detail. One other thing I'll mention, we're not putting a basement of any kind in this new house either. It's just going to be a slab on grade. So we'll be digging an excavation just for frost walls and a slab.
Okay, thank you. Your comments, Mike?
Yes, as discussed, this is a pre-disturbed lawn-type area all around this new proposed building. It's further away from the wetlands, and the only additional impervious area would be of the building itself.
Okay, and you have your floodplain? Oh, you're not in the floodplain, but you have your zoning approval.
Right.
Okay. Are there any comments from commissioners? It looks fine to me. I therefore move to find this. A positive, a determination of applicability, +5 and -3. Do you have any additional special conditions, Mike?
Yes, I would suggest the following special conditions: ensure best management practices are followed before commencing work, obtain all pertinent permits, see administrator or agent for guidance on conservation permits beyond the approved work activities. Erosion control should be in place just between the house and the wetlands. And there could be an option for conservation markers on this property too. I'm not sure if that's something the commission would consider, but there's that option. And then also checked on the RDA form was the request to verify the resource boundaries. So I would recommend a +2B, which does not confirm the resource boundaries as there is no delineation here.
Correct, thank you. Where would you, if you were to recommend conservation markers, what was your thinking?
Just the edge of lawn, behind, in between the structures, so that there's no greenway stumping or anything like that in the future, if that's something the homeowner would be agreeable with.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll just add some conservation, maybe 3 conservation markers?
Yeah, 2 on the property boundaries and 1 in the middle or wherever the homeowner sees fit.
And if you, here in the office, we have the little decals that show, so, you just need to get some posts and put them in. Mike can help you with that.
Yes.
Tell you how to, what we need.
Yeah, I can provide further assistance with that.
I'll consult with.
Yes. Okay, so I move that we vote to approve this determination of applicability, a positive 2B and -3? Is that how it goes, or is it?
Yes, it would be a +5,
And
-3,
-2B.
and a
Positive 2B.
-2B, yes, -2B.
I wish they could make that simpler. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me start over. I move that we vote to issue the determination of applicability, a +5 and a +2B. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Safe Harbor Marina. This also, I will read the legal ad for. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, December 6th, at 6:30 to consider the request for determination of applicability filed by David Ricardo and Sons Builders regarding 239 Dyke Road, the Green Harbor Marina. And the hearing officer is Commissioner Platt.
Okay. Mike, can you confirm that taxes and fees have been met?
Yep, taxes, fees have been met.
Great. Is there anyone here to present this? Okay. I'll just give a brief synopsis on it then. So the applicant wishes to install a generator stand that will elevate the generator above flood elevation using the pre-approved stand design from the building department. The work was approved as de minimis activity with diamond pier footings on October 4th. But however, due to the tight location, underground utilities, they're proposing the use of sonotubes instead of the diamond pier footings, triggering the need for the RDA, which brings us here. So, Mike, do you have any comments on this?
Yes, this was originally put through the commission as the diamond pier footings due to underground utilities and close proximity to other structures. They had changed the request to sonotubes footings, which triggered the need for a request for determination of applicability. Other than that, it's a fairly straightforward project. I believe that the building commissioner also wanted to add that the generator will need to be located a minimum of 6 feet above the interior slab of the building per the final elevation certificate.
Okay. Any comments from the commissioners on this? Okay, any comments from the audience on Zoom? All right. This makes sense to me. The only thing that I would say would be to include the generator stand on the as-built plans. So that was mentioned at the October 4th meeting. So with that, I will move to vote to issue the determination of applicability with a +5 and -2, along with having that stand reflected on the as-built. And then that brings us to the option of
So that would be a positive
2B.
2B as noted before.
Okay, and is
Which
there
would
any
not-
special conditions?
Yes, just the standard RDA special conditions for that one, which would be ensure best management practices are followed before commencing the work, obtain all pertinent permits, and see the conservation administrator or agent for guidance beyond the approved work activity.
Okay. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay. Next up, the next item on the agenda, 172 South River Street, is continuing, so we will vote on that after we finish the hearings. And then the next is 117 Ridge Road. Do we have a DEP number, Mike?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, we do. That is 3070, SE 42 3070.
Okay, this is a new hearing. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, December 6th, to consider the notice of intent for 117 Ridge Road, and the hearing officer is Commissioner O'Donnell.
Michael, taxes, butter notification, all set?
Yep, taxes, fees, abutters, and the DEP number were issued.
Yep. And I noted that we do have an active floodplain permit. Andrew mentioned that in his comments, so.
Yes.
That's what he said. So is he- Rick's here to present the project. I was out there, visited it last week. Looks like the house is all buttoned up.
Yep. Yes, so I'm Rick Savant with Stenbeck and Taylor. Worked on the survey and prepared this plan. So the applicant is proposing to put an addition on the home. As you can see on the plan, it's kind of a extensive addition to the rear and to the right side and a little bit on the front. The site is located right on the salt marsh. It's certainly within 100 feet of the salt marsh resource. It's also within the floods, completely within the AE10 flood zone, the entire site. Looking at Andrew's comments, the project is a substantial improvement, but the house will be made to be in full compliance with the FEMA regulations by the addition of flood venting on the existing foundation, and all the new work will have flood vents to accommodate the enclosure space below. I was informed that the crawl space was somewhat recently filled under there to bring that up to code also, which is just part of the FEMA regulations for the zone. The house currently meets the elevation criteria for the zone. The finished floor of the house is 11.4 in the AE10 zone, and all the new work will match that floor height, maintaining that 11.4 height. There aren't any changes in grade proposed, but there is certainly some work that'll be happening on the site. There is a patio out back. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that, John, but there is a paver patio. I'm not sure if it's pervious or not. I know we consider them impervious when we don't really know what they are, but that'll be being removed. And there will be a deck going on in that area that'll be elevated up on posts, so.
Okay, what kind of post? I noticed that they're gonna be just
There'll be
sono tubes?
Yeah, there'll
Okay.
be sono tubes.
Same as the front entranceway is gonna be on
Very
posts?
similar to the ones that are on the existing part of the house, yeah, and what
Okay.
will be proposed on the front. We do have an increase in impervious areas, you can see on the table there.
Yeah,
That's mostly with the larger addition. It expands outside the existing footprint in a couple areas, the back left and slightly on the right.
okay.
Yeah, again, the patio will be removed. The deck is outside, the patio is within the 25-foot. It's only 18 feet
Yep.
off of the resource area. The proposed deck has been shaved back outside the 25-foot setback.
Yep,
So a little improvement there as far as setback from the resource area. And, certainly erosion control will be used during construction, and that's really what we're hoping to do, is make the home flood compliant and get this addition on the home.
okay. No, basically you hit the notes that I had. You noted Andrew's comments. There is one comment that he did make regarding the new garage, which you can't see on the site plan. But he did note that it, I guess that is a flood vent on the side, and he said it's gonna require 2 flood vents. So it's gonna need a flood vent on the front, which means it would have to be in the door.
That's correct. There are 2 shown on the garage. It isn't specifically called out on the plan, but it is
Yeah.
part of the house expansion there. But the 2, you need them on opposite walls
Yep.
of the garage, of
Okay.
any enclosure. So one of those flood vents will have to be put in the front.
Oh, I see. So the ones on either side of 2133?
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh,
Those are
that's
the-
where the garage is?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I got it.
One of those will have to be put in the front, so they're on opposing walls
Okay.
to be in compliance.
Okay.
There's also, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
I had forgotten, there's a shed that's
Oh,
currently
yeah.
there on the right side of the house that's proposed to be removed from the site altogether.
Yep. Yeah, I noted that as well, but it said it's being removed, so that takes care of that, so. Are there any questions or comments from commissioners? Anybody in the audience have any questions? Oh, we have someone.
Or he has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What type of flood vents?
Most likely there'll be smart vents, there'll be engineered flood vents. Most times they're smart vents is the brand. There are several others, but I would anticipate there'd be smart vents.
Just want to make sure
It's
they're
most
not gonna
available.
be, manual.
Nope, they'll be fully engineered, automated flood vents with no human intervention required to, that's what they need to be. Yes.
Okay, would you want to identify yourself? Yeah. I guess it probably makes sense if anyone's listening from home.
Sure.
Hi there, I'm Colleen Malloy. We're at 105 Ridge Road, so we're neighbors 2 houses down. And this is my brother, Nikki, behind me.
So I'm sorry, so when I looked at the house from the street, you are to the right or the left?
We're to the left,
To the left,
2 houses
okay.
down.
Trying to remember it, okay.
Yep, and so we just wanted to ask some questions about if there were any changes to the wall in the back and the erosion material, and we're just concerned about impact of the water flow for us. There's been some other changes on the street that have impacted water in our driveway, so that's really why we're here to just ask about those questions.
All right, well, if you have specific questions to ask, or you're looking for additional information?
Yep, wanted to ask just what is the erosion barrier, and then are there plans to make any changes to that wall on the back?
There is not. So you're speaking about this, the riprap wall that's out against the salt marsh. There's not any proposed changes to even touch that or get anywhere near that. This erosion control barrier that's proposed is a temporary barrier during construction. It'll be a silt sock that'll be staked in place to prevent any erosion from entering your property or the other side, or most importantly, into the marsh during construction, during a rain event, while they have the excavation open, just to prevent any runoff from the site from leaving the site, contained on site. That's temporary during construction, and that'll be removed once the work is completed. Absolutely no work proposed down on the edge of the marsh at all to touch. They best stay away from that as best they can during the project, for sure. Nothing proposed at all.
Doesn't look like there'd be any grading at all, it's pretty much flat, right?
Yeah, it's a flat lot.
It is flat, and there isn't any, there'll be some disturbance, of course, during construction while they're digging for foundations and so forth, but the grade will be returned to the grade that its current state. Whether it's fill brought in or fill removed from the site, it should look very similar to what it looks like now, with exception to the expansion of the house, but the ground contours will be the same, so no fill brought in to shed any water your way or any other way. So, right, that's what I anticipate with this.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Michael, do you have anything to add? Special conditions or?
Yeah, I would suggest the following special conditions: general conditions 1 through 18, prior to construction conditions 5 and 2, during construction condition 11, after construction condition 1, erosion control condition 1, and then the need for an elevation certificate, which is captured under during construction 11 or after construction 1.
Okay. So, if there are no other questions or comments, I'm going to make a motion to close the hearing and make a motion to vote to approve the notice of intent. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay?
All right. Thank you, Rick.
Very
Thanks,
much.
Rick.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay, next is 32 Carolyn Circle. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, A public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, December 6th, to consider the notice of intent filed for 32 Carolyn Circle, and the hearing officer is Vice Chair O'Donnell.
Thank you. Mike, can you confirm taxes, abutters, and DEP number?
Taxes, fees have been met. DEP number, this would be a town bylaw only filing, as they're not within buffer zone to bordering
Okay.
vegetated wetland. So the applicant provided the town bylaw only form this afternoon.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. James Garfield with Morse Engineering, here tonight representing the owners of 32 Carolyn Circle. This is a notice of intent filing, local bylaw only, for a raise and rebuild project of a single-family dwelling. As you can see from our plan here, our property lines are shown in bold. Carolyn Circle is shown at the top of the page. This is an approximately 20,040 square foot lot. The only on-site wetland is a IVW, an isolated vegetated wetland, shown in blue. This was delineated by John Zimmer of South River Environmental. We also have the 25, 50, 75, and 100-foot setbacks shown on the plan, also in color. No part of this property lies within land subject to coastal storm flowage or any endangered species area. We're proposing to demolish the existing home, which is in poor condition, to then construct a new single-family dwelling predominantly in the same location. Existing utility services are located in the front yard, which will be cut, capped, and then reconnected to the new single-family dwelling. We're also proposing a new Title V compliant septic system in the front yard. Site grading, we attempted to minimize in terms of this design, while also allowing for the new gravity-fed septic system, as well as making drainage improvements to the rear yard. Our goal is to direct the runoff away from the proposed house that's coming down the hill and around the sides of it. Currently, all the runoff goes down the hill directly to that existing house. Portions of the proposed work lie within not just the buffer zones, but physically within the IVW itself. Our hope is that the commission will look favorably on this application for a number of reasons. The wetland is isolated and appears to be man-made. A previous owner, our assumption is, excavated that area and actually created that IVW. We're assuming to try to alter the drainage pattern of this site. This wetland is of little to no value, as it's not a vernal pool. It does not provide wildlife habitat. It doesn't provide stormwater mitigation, drainage mitigation, or any other measurable value. The wetland, again, is Marshfield bylaw only, not a state wetland. Our work's proposing to alter 584 square feet of the IVW, and we're proposing a replication of 627 square feet, so a greater number, which will be located in a water quality swale between the house and western lot line. Again, we're placing the house primarily in the same location as the existing house. We're maintaining this as a 3-bedroom house. We're not adding bedrooms to this property. And lastly, we're reducing the on-site impervious coverage by 15.8%. So with that, I will pass it to the commission for any questions.
Thank you. Mike, your comments?
Yes, there's that one wetland on the property, the isolated vegetated wetland as flagged by John Zimmer on October 16th, 2023. So you can see it's in the back corner of the house and actually comes up to touch the foundation in an area in the back corner. There's this small kind of depression here, and then a proposed beehive grate at the end of it to help control with that flooding there. There is also, when I was doing some more research, there's a flagged wetland across the street, which could potentially bring in the front portion of that property into the buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetlands. It was flagged for, I believe it's now 25 Carolyn Circle used to be 0 Carolyn Circle, but parcel D200211A.
Okay, but before you change to the next view, the wetland line is about on the lot line there, right? At Carolyn Circle?
Yes, the wetland line is directly across the street. It's about if you're standing on the edge of pavement at the subject site here on 32 Carolyn Circle, it would be approximately 65 or 70 feet ahead of you. So it's on the other side of Carolyn Circle. It's at the bottom of a depression off the side of the road.
Yeah, so can you go to the next view you had, the assessor's map there that shows?
Yes. Sorry. So this is 32 Carolyn Circle, and here approximately is where the closest wetland flag is. It's an approximate location. So any type of driveway resurfacing or activities in the front yard would fall under the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland.
Well, if the road is 40 foot, that puts us at least 25 from the wetland, right?
It's likely 60 to 65 feet from the wetland, the front yard area. It would be over 50.
Okay, I'm sorry. Want to continue your comments, or?
That essentially summarizes my comments. There's also some greenway stumping in the backyard near that isolated vegetated wetland that perhaps a Concom marker could do good back there.
Okay,
Also additionally, Bert, sorry, if it's within the 100-foot buffer to a bordering vegetated wetland, it would have to be filed with the state as well. So then it would go from town bylaw only to being a DEP number issued by the Department of Environmental Protection.
okay. Are you aware of that wetland?
No, we were not aware of that wetland, so that is the case. Might be something we'll have to look at.
Okay, I'm thinking we'll need to continue no matter what, but should we go ahead and continue discussion? I'd like to get an understanding of this swale and the wetland replication there.
Yep.
Can you explain that a little better?
Sure. So the swale will essentially function, I guess, physically in terms of topography, like that isolated vegetated wetland does currently. That isolated wetland is not necessarily like a low point on the site. I don't know who has control over the image there, but so I know it's a little bit difficult to see, but even with the existing contours, that isolated vegetated wetland almost acts right now as a swale. So again, we're kind of just relocating it to the side yard. You know, with the lawn that's going to be planted on top of it, it's going to be a better infiltrative source on site than that IVW that's there today. We also are not opposed to planting some blueberry bushes or other shrubbery, which might allow some wildlife habitat and food source on that water quality swale. You know, as opposed to what's there today, I think that would be an improvement.
Okay, and from the drainage manhole in the lawn, you've got that tying into the stormwater catch basin in the street?
Correct.
I'm not not sure I've seen that done before. Is that,
That's a discussion we'll have to have with DPW, and, you know,
that
if it,
was my suggestion is, we need to get some input from them about that. And I'd also like to know where that drainage system, where it goes to.
the one on the street,
Yes. So, the existing flagged wetland, you intend to eliminate that and relocate it?
yeah, so, I mean, just unfortunately with the proximity of that IVW to even the existing house, currently that, it goes right up to the back of the foundation of the existing house. And like I said, this house, it's not in great condition. And unfortunately, any raise and rebuild you do here, it's gonna require some alteration of that wetland, just with its proximity to the house. So yeah, I mean, we're not necessarily getting rid of it in the location it is now, we're just redirecting it, if that makes sense. There's not gonna be any filling of that area.
Okay, so the corner where there's that, looks like a damaged dry well, corner of the garage,
That's there today?
yeah,
Yep,
that's the area that you're gonna redirect.
right, around the house.
And then what's gonna prevent all that water from just, is it the 150? As you said, it's not really the low point, so what's keeping that water from, just all running downhill at this point?
Well, currently it already does run all downhill, so we're not necessarily changing the drainage pattern that's there today. And in fact, we're actually decreasing the impervious area that's on site as compared to today. So, I mean, if you did a stormwater analysis of this, you'd probably come out with, you know, less of an impact of drainage onto Carolyn Circle than is there today.
Okay, I'd like to open it up to other commissioner comments.
Yeah, my concerns have already been raised, the swale, the drainage, the system here, and the potential impact from the wetland across the road, if that factors in.
May I make a comment? I liked the idea of adding additional plantings that will hopefully help stop some of the water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That seems like a good idea.
Yeah, we can make,
Might want to include that on the plan.
sure,
Right, if that,
finalized.
yeah.
sure.
And I just have one question. Beehive, he was calling it beehive grate, is that something on top, are we talking about a catch basin with?
It's just a grate
At
where
the-
the water would go into. It kind of looks like a beehive.
Okay. But it's a catch basin below that?
So it would be, what we're proposing there is at the end of that grassed water quality swale, there would be essentially like a grate, which will tie into a 6-inch PVC pipe, which is then going into a new manhole we're showing there, and that's connected into the catch basin on the street.
Okay, so no catch basin.
So I mean, if DPW, if talks go well, that would be nice because then we could capture that runoff before it hits the street and just direct it subsurface into the existing drainage system. So again, a discussion we'll have with them, but that's the idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have the potential of putting an awful lot of water into the road and, causing icy conditions and,
I will say again, I mean, the site currently already drains that way. We wouldn't be creating any more runoff than is there today.
Ask a question?
sure.
Why are you calling it a water quality swale? Are you proposing to amend the soil in some way?
Not amend the soils, but I guess the first few inches of soil we're gonna replace with, clean loam and seed as opposed to what's there today. And water quality swale is just kind of a stormwater term for, I guess, like an infiltrative swale. And, adding those, like we said, the shrubbery on top of it can only benefit infiltration and the overall, IVW side of this to make it a wildlife habitat and possible
So it would
food
have,
source.
Higher infiltration rate than is currently there?
On the surface, yes, but overall soils beneath the surface, we're not proposing to change.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only increase in water will be that you've got the foundation perimeter drains that you didn't have before. You know, I think that's probably where a lot of that water and that wetland is coming from, is from the house. Now, once you put those perimeter drains in and you bring them down to what you call the beehive drain, you know, that water's just gonna be that much closer to the street.
Sure.
Which I don't disagree with what you're doing. I just think you need a way to manage it. So what I hear is the things we need to know is you need to take another look at that wetland across the street, do your filing, and then I think if we had a better detail of this swale and, you know, what's gonna be planted with wetland vegetation, and just get a clearer idea how that's gonna work, and then talk to DEP about, talk to DPW and your plan about tying into their drains.
Certainly. My only request would be, Mike, would you be able to forward me that plan you had up
Yeah, absolutely.
with the wetland across the street, just for our reference?
Yes.
Anything else I neglected, Mike or commissioners?
No, I believe that covers it.
Are there any comments from anybody in the public? Anybody on Zoom? I don't hear anything. I'd like to make a motion to continue. Are you gonna have time to, when do you want to continue to?
We can continue to the next hearing. I think that'll be enough time to get done what I need to get done for this.
Okay.
December 20.
Make a motion to continue to December 20th. Did I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Next is 0 Main Street. This is a continued hearing, and the hearing officer is Vice Chair O'Donnell. Commissioner Karen is recusing.
Have we got anybody here to? Are you representing Morris on this one?
I am with Morse, but I know coming in here, I'm not going to say much in terms of this one. So,
So we have not received a continuation request for this hearing, and yes, and Greg's not here to represent it. Yeah, an extension to January 17th would be preferable.
yeah, I know I came in here to request said continuance, but that was essentially the limits of my knowledge on this one. So.
Okay, so you're requesting continuance to January 17th?
Correct.
Perfect.
So I make the motion to continue January 17th. Have I got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay. Next is 60 Foster Ave. This is a continued hearing. And the Hearing officer is Commissioner Karen, who needs to return from recusal.
She's gone.
Fooled you. Okay, so we're on 60 Foster Ave, Susan.
All right, great. So you will, so this is a continued hearing for 60 Foster Ave, for an addition for a revised site plan for a farmer's porch that was not on the existing plan. And to recap, this is an NOI for actually raising of a shed, adding a garage and 2 small additions, removing existing paved driveway, replacing it with crushed stone, and the addition of pervious pavers. All right, and it's in AO3 flood zone. The majority of the property, a corner of it is in the VE 19, but all of the work and disturbance was in the AO3. So I understand you do have a floodplain permit now. And the only thing they may need ZBA relief for the front setbacks.
Yes.
Apparently. So my only question is, actually, well, I'll let you can, anything
No,
else?
I'm ready to wrap it up after that one. Perfect.
It's only been a year, so.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
My only question from the new site plan is it doesn't reference what's holding up the porch, the new farmer's porch, although the architectural drawings seem to indicate it might be diamond piers, with little X's, but I don't really know what that means. So,
I believe they're just sonotubes, proposed, open piers. Yes. This is not in the Barry Beach.
Right.
It's-
so that's not a problem, I just didn't.
But yeah,
we should
no,
have those on
it
the
wasn't made
plans.
clear. I don't believe they're diamond piers. I believe they're just gonna be,
Sonotubes. I
Yes.
think I remember that
Yep.
from
Yep.
the first round of this.
that's correct.
So that could probably just be on the as-built, would everybody be fine with that, unless you could make a notation on the plan.
Sure.
Michael, do you have anything to add on
If the asphalt driveway would be replaced, everything proposed would be flood compliant, and it would be nice to get this off our agenda.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back in front of you with it. He's met with Andrew and been through that.
Right.
The homeowner and Andrew did that floodplain permit together, and they've, the project is not a substantial improvement, although the new work will all be properly vented. And I'll quote while I'm ahead, because you wrapped it up nicely. That's everything we're dealing with. Nothing's changed. We are removing the brick walk on the right side of the house.
Right,
Maybe we didn't mention. We do have an overall decrease on the site
yes.
of 729 square feet with removal of that driveway. And yeah, overall, that's basically what it is. The same addition we kind of had before, when we added the farmer's porch back in just recently. I turned the plans in just a few days ago for that. But yes,
Any commissioner comments on this project? Anybody from the audience or on Zoom comment, 60 Foster Ave? Well, with that, I will make a motion to close the hearing and issue an order of conditions, and go to elaborate on the conditions.
Perfect. So it would be general conditions 1 through 18, prior to construction conditions 5 and 2, during construction condition 11, after construction condition 1, erosion control condition 1, and an elevation certificate will be required at the end of this as well.
May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
thank you.
That was a long
Very much.
one.
Yeah, yes,
Applicants will be happy.
I hope the applicant is pleased. Yes.
I'm sure he will. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah.
Okay, that concludes our hearings for tonight. We have 2 continuations, one being RDA 2312, Recreational Trails Committee, and 172 South River Street. I move that we continue this to December 20th. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And SE 423051, 3 South Street, I move that we continue also to 12/20. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we are on to requests for certificate of compliance. The first is 99 Bay Ave. And we have received a new stamped plan on this that shows that the structure is located within the parcel boundaries. So everything else is in order with the building commissioner. And that being said, I move that we vote to issue a COC for 99 Bay Ave. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you very much.
You're good to go.
All of your analysis, I appreciate it. And when will that be available?
First thing in the morning.
I will see you then.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, and enjoy
Thank
your
you.
holiday season. I appreciate it.
Me too.
And, okay, 15 Mayflower Way. This goes back, I think, to 2019, based on the number here. The applicant has requested to waive the as-built and also for relief from special condition E, which had required him to remove an extensive retaining wall. Based on Mike's search back through this, it appears that Bill Grafton and the then building commissioner, this was before Mr. Stewart, I think?
Yes,
but-
it was Jim Folkart.
Jim Folkard, were in agreement that removing the retaining wall here would be the wrong thing. It would require extensive regrading of the entire property, and they were of the opinion that that would do more harm than good. I assume that they are requesting the waiver of the as-built because an as-built would have been required to show the removal of the retaining wall. And I think the other work was just decks.
Yeah, it was decking and I believe a small sunroom addition. But yes, the removal of the retaining wall would require extensive regrading and revegetation of the site.
This is, the flood mapping on this has changed. It was a velocity zone, now it is mapped as an AO zone. We are probably in, we're in this Barrier Beach coastal dune area. So, any commissioner thoughts on this retaining wall?
That decision that you just talked about with Bill Grafton and Jim Folkart, that's in writing and it's in the record?
It's not in a letter or on any sort of letterhead or anything like that. They're more notes that were kept after site visits. And in addition to that, and then there was also a letter here that was provided by the applicant, which does add to that a bit as well.
And then
And
for the rest
elaborate
of
a
the
bit
work, the building permits have been closed out and everything?
Yes, I believe so.
Let me check, I
I,
think
I,
I have that here.
I should probably double check that with Andrew Stewart. I'm not sure if he
His notes.
he touched upon that one.
This property has a certificate of occupancy and has no open
Yep.
building zoning or floodplain violations. You said there was a letter from the homeowner?
Yes, I'll
What was
put it
the
on
date of that?
screen. It came along with this request, I believe, I have it right in front of me, actually. The date of that would have been November 15th, or prior up to November 1st. I don't have the exact submission packet in front of me at this moment.
We don't have a site plan or anything? Or
Pardon?
we don't have a site plan, we just had that one picture? You
There's
had-
no as-built site plan for this one.
Right.
Yeah. There's
But
an
we have the site plan on the original filing?
Yes, the original site plan, there was a original site plan when this was filed back in, I believe it was the early 2000s.
Yeah, so that would be acceptable, right? It's not gonna change.
That's the only change, I assume, on an as-built would be to reflect the removal of the
Yeah.
retaining wall, which,
In the process of loading this, it's just, it's taking a few minutes to load the actual file.
okay. It's no longer a velocity zone.
I think we're okay. My only concern is this whole question about Barrier Beach.
Exactly, yeah. That's what's causing me to hesitate, but, I don't really, want to try to enforce this if it's going to result in a worse outcome. And
Yeah, I think based on that, we're good.
Well,
Hey, Mike? Mike?
Liz?
Is that-
It's Liz on
Liz.
Zoom.
Hey, Liz.
oh, it's Liz. Hey, Liz.
Alright. So I got into the file, the letters from the 9th. Yes.
I can't hear you,
The letter
Liz.
was from November 9th, you said?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's the date of the letter.
Any thoughts, Liz?
Based on Bill's notes from it in Jim Volkard, it seems like they were only requiring them to remove the wall, and since it's now outside of the flood zone, that it's no longer needed. They did do the open risers on the stairs to the deck that was also required, but that's all finished. The
Okay,
only thing that wasn't done was the removal of that retaining wall because it came out of the flood zone.
okay. I think I'm comfortable moving to approve this, unless anybody has a strong feeling against that. Okay, I move that we vote to approve the COC for 15 Mayflower Way. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you, Liz.
Thanks, Liz. Now, we have SE 42 2857, 34 Marginal Street. There are some differences in the way this dock was constructed versus its plan, and the building inspector also has some questions about this. It hasn't received any building department inspections, which are required.
Yes.
Hello.
I can.
So you are,
I'm Tim Shanahan,
hi,
and Mark Burgess is online.
okay. So, we have differences in the construction, and I think we're gonna need a new plan to reflect that.
I believe the differences were immaterial.
Well,
Yeah,
what
there's,
I,
there's
what
this-
I have is that the, where is it? The ramp is 22 and a half feet longer than proposed, and the first section
You
of
can't be
the,
reading that right. It can't be 22 feet longer. It's built pretty much exactly what the plan is.
I did speak with the building commissioner today. The local inspector went out on site. Everything with this dock is in the proposed blueprint or the proposed footprint. I believe the corner where the dock kind of dog legs, I might be referred to as there, is in a slightly different location, but the actual, and I believe the actual elevation of the dock is slightly below what was proposed by a fraction of a foot, but I spoke to the building commissioner today, and he gives his thumbs up and green light on this project.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that, is
He
that
just
from
gave-
from Andrew?
Yes, he
Okay.
just gave me the confirmation at about 4 p.m.
Oh, okay, so he had
Yes.
given us this earlier. If he is okay and the changes are minimal, unless anyone has an objection, you would remember this one, Bert? This
Yeah.
is, yep. In that case, I move that we issue a COC for SE 42 2857. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you
Okay,
very much. Have a good night.
thank you, you
Thank
too.
Real-time information.
I have a question, Madam Chair.
Oh, sure, I'm sorry, who am I hearing from?
That's Mark.
This is Mark Burgess of
Oh.
Shopfront Consulting.
Hello?
Hello. Thank you for considering the request and approving it. So Tim would likely pick up the certificate of compliance. I live on Cape Cod, so if you either he picks it up or mail it to him, whatever his preference is, and then he'll get it recorded for you.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, it will be available tomorrow morning, if you want to
great.
come in, or, anytime thereafter. And I believe you have 60 days to record.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank
Have a great
you.
holiday season.
Thank you.
162 Bay Ave, we're going to table this because we still have floodplain violation here. So I move to continue 29, SE 42 2923 at 162 Bay Ave to 1220. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. And lastly, we have SE 42 2997 at 1125 Ferry Street. I have no problem here, other than that there seems to be continued mowing outside the conservation markers. I would like to suggest that, assuming we approve this, when the applicant picks up the COC, they are informed that they cannot mow beyond the conservation markers. I realize there was lawn back there before, but that mowing has to stop.
Perfect. Make sure that's relayed to whoever picks up the orders.
Okay. In that case, I move to issue a COC for SE 422997. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that concludes our business. I move to close the Marshfield Conservation Commission meeting of December 6th, 2023. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.